Hello Tacticians, it's Nox here, and it is my favourite time of the month where we come to look at the live PvP tournament arena. And of course, before it's the arena, I'm going to be going through my tier list for the arenas. Before we get to that, just a very quick thank you to all the people who have used my friend code, which are Gifalonius, Lobo, Baxter and Zani ones. I hope I got your name right. I'm terrible for murdering names. Thank you very much. It is very much appreciated. So now, let's get to the tier list. And here is my new tier list. It is starting to look a bit crowded, so I think some people are going to have to start dropping off. But as you will see in the Overwatch section, we have a new entry with Sarquil. He's not quite top tier along with Calendis and Rayvas, but the damage that he does is actually more than Calendis, assuming Calendis doesn't actually do a crit, which, let's be honest, she does do most of the time. And because Sarquil is actually so good, he did move Certus down one spot. However, nothing against Certus here because his ability to shove someone off a capture point is still very good. And Azrael, he's wanting to stay, but I think next time we see this list, he is not going to be in sight. Now, the one person we haven't mentioned in Overwatch is Immerspec. Now, he has had a buff recently, but with his range of only 2, and he doesn't have the survivability of Rayvas, I still don't think he's going to be worthwhile to be putting on this list. Although, by all means, prove me wrong and I'll be willing to put him back on this list. There's no change in the AoE sections. Thaddeus and Kalgar are still your go-to people, with Vindicta and Morvenval coming a close second and third. In stealth, not much has changed, although I could easily be persuaded to move Shark up just a little bit. The reason being, his ability to be able to kill Calendis with his abilities is actually fairly useful, and he has got stealth, he has got position. However, if you're up against a higher armour opponent, unfortunately Shark is going to be in a tough spot because he just won't do the damage needed. In the summoning area, we have Abraxas coming in at about the same level as Aleph Null. He didn't quite reach the heights of Archimatos purely because with Archimatos you know you're going to summon in all your bloodletters around the target, where with Abraxas they're summoned around Abraxas himself, and so you don't normally get as many. I would say the average is either 2 or 3 with Abraxas, unless you're very clever with your manoeuvring. In the buffing section, Yazagor has made a massive impression with me. Now, I don't have the character to make him really worthwhile, but if you are lucky enough to have Typhus, he is a great delivery method to get Typhus to where he's needed to do his active ability. Even if you don't have Typhus, his ability to get any of his spellcasters where you want them to be is still very, very good. And we've still yet to see 2 of the new Thousand Suns. Although if you have looked round, it won't be much of a surprise who's coming. People have data mined them. Unfortunately, because of all this new manoeuvrability, I think Makatep is going to be doing his final showing on this list. I think he's going to drop off. The extra 1 movement he gives isn't really cutting it anymore, and even though he makes your summons move again, it's often very difficult to get him into a position where he can be used really well, and of course he is quite weak. And finally, in the best of the rest, we have Ulf, and yes, one of the newcomers, Arjak, is up there. Now, Ulf is an obvious choice. He does high damage, he's got great manoeuvrability, but why have I got Arjak up there? Well, Eisenfaust, who came first in the last tournament, used Arjak and won 100% of his games. Now, I'm not sure what the rest of his team looks like, but once Arjak is on a point, I'm guessing he is not going to be moved very easily. The other benefit that Arjak has over anyone else is the fact he can teleport onto those control points straight away. He can't teleport onto a power-up, but he can get close to them, ready to strike in the next turn. However, because the last TA was just the conquest mode, I'm guessing the fact that he could teleport onto the point is what made him so good there. So who will I be taking into the draft PvP tournament? Well, I've highlighted them all for you here, and unsurprisingly, I'm going to be taking a few Staples. We've got Calendis as the premier character because obviously the Fire and Reposition is an amazing skill, allowing you to pick up 2 power-ups should you need to. Thaddeus's Barrage and Range allows you to drop suppression on any enemy array Vass that could be there. My personal favourites with Jane Zar and Ulf are there just because they deal a huge amount of damage in melee and they've got their high manoeuvrability. Shosil is a threat himself. When he carries on summoning the drones, he can really run away with the game. And the same is true with Archimatos if you manage to summon a number of bloodletters around one of their troops. The one, I suppose, surprising feature is I will be taking in Sarquail and I'll be replacing Rayvas for him. The reason for this is purely because I believe people are starting to know how to deal with Rayvas and I like mixing things up. I honestly believe Sarquail certainly has a place because if he gets hit with suppression, he can still retaliate if he gets shot. Now, if I was lucky enough to have Celestine, who I am currently farming, then it would be Archimatos that gets dropped to put her in. And if I had Calgar, I would seriously consider dropping Jane Zar or Ulf to put him in instead. So what are your thoughts on this upcoming draft tournament? And what teams are you going to be taking in? Or how are you going to counter any of the meta teams that we always come across? I'd love to hear your comments, so please leave them in the box below. And if you or your guild are looking for a new home, please feel free to reach out to any of the guilds shown. We are always welcoming new people and new guilds into our midst. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the battlefield.